everybody, this is Rydo and we are back with another episode of Portal. I'm not sure if you're going to believe this or not, but at this point, if you've watched all the previous episodes, you are actually 40 minutes.
Welcome to Test Chamber 4. You're doing quite well.
That's right. You've actually been watching 40 minutes. It probably doesn't feel like it's been that long. Alright. So, back to Puzzle 0 here. We have a button that opens doors that we haven't seen that in a couple of puzzles. Now, of course, we can't stand to the puzzle and, I don't know, shoot a portal or anything because there's this glass in the way. Alright, so we've got the cube again. First time we've seen the cube since Puzzle 0, I believe. Here's the little signs, objects will be falling and don't get hit in the head. So you get down here, you've got to figure out, yes, you and the block can go through the portal. They could have shown that earlier. This is also the first instance in which you see the gun ability as how it's going to lift items. Before it was just hovering out of nothing. Now you're seeing the gun is making it up.
Once again, excellent work. As part of our required test protocol, we will not monitor the next test chamber. You will be entirely on your own. Good luck.
Alright, so you can just walk through this puzzle. We have solved it. All this was teaching us was, yes, we can make portals down here. We didn't even have to really go down there if we could have just shot it accurate enough and fast enough so that this would have dropped it right through the hole and out here and all of that. So they just are teaching you basically you can't make portals through glass and you can move boxes through the portals. Simple concepts, very simple. Now there is one trick, however. These walls, you'll learn the lexicon of the graphics. That white things can make portals and dark things can't. So this darkened floor cannot make a portal anywhere here. This light up here is assumedly some kind of skylight feature. Can't make a portal. But all these light colors here, these walls can. So interesting that it switches. It switches from this light tile to this dark tile. So you cannot cheat your way and say take the box with you and then get to the exit. No cheating allowed on this puzzle. They thought it through. Of course, I could always take another one of these guys.
Vital testing apparatus destroyed.
It's not making a sound. Sometimes it makes a sound. I don't know why. Maybe I messed up my sound file. It was supposed to make a sound when you it's a pretty good sound too when you walk through it. So where are we at? We're done with this puzzle already. So quick. So quick. If we were just speed running, and maybe I will after this series do a speed run of Portal. Probably would have only been 10 minutes to get past as far as we have. And if I was going to speedrun, I almost certainly have to do it as one long episode, like from beginning to end. But we are at 4 of 19. So by that math, what are we? A little less than a quarter of the way through all the puzzles. And where would we be a quarter of the puzzles in the Talos Principle? Since we are referencing Portal here to the Talos Principle, which is my series before, how far would we have been in the Talos Principle? Let's see. Well, I think there are somewhere around, let's see, there has to be 7, 14, 21, at least 50. 79 is the number sticking out in my head. That sounds about right. Like 80 puzzles in the Talos Principle. 80 puzzles versus 19. Now, so if we're gonna just assume, since I really don't know the number, that there was about 80, a fourth of those would be 20 puzzles. Let me think about how long 20 puzzles would take. 20 puzzles would have probably taken about 3 times as long as it's taken to get this far. But all the very early puzzles in the Talos Principle are pretty simple. However, they're still not as simple as these early Portal things. People have played games like Portal, and probably have played Portal before they played the Talos Principle. And people in their general knowledge now know how to do puzzle games like this. Whereas when Portal first came out, there was a real possibility nobody would have been able to figure out all of this. I never heard any stories that people got stuck or anything. This game is pretty streamlined, so you couldn't really get stuck. But there is that possibility that there was just nothing like this game before. Would I have liked a Portal that had about 80 puzzles? Maybe 40 would have been a little bit better. They would have all been simple like this, but there certainly could have been more filler. Every single puzzle we've seen, every single puzzle we're going to see, basically teaches a concept. And they really didn't need to do it that way. They could have had puzzles just have 3 puzzles that do the same concept, have them more fluffed out. There was a very small team that worked on Portal. There wasn't, like I've said, a lot of confidence in it that it would be a big seller. They were afraid to even release it as its own game. And then at the end of all that fear, what happens? Portal was the breakout hit. Half-Life 2 Episode 3 that came with the Orange Box was not a new game, I do not believe, when the Orange Box came out. And Team Fortress, I think it was Team Fortress 2, I think it was a new game, but maybe it wasn't. So they would just try to sneak it in there as an extra, so nobody would be upset. And there's some logic in that. If somebody told me, play this game Portal, and then I can't tell you anything about it or really explain how it works, it's a hard sell. It is a real hard sell to even make gameplay footage of this game without spoiling it. Every step I take is just another spoiler in this game. I would love if they ever made a Portal 3, which maybe they will, maybe they won't. I don't see why they wouldn't eventually, but they might not. If these levels were randomly generated. They in Portal 2 put in infrastructure so I think other people could make portals, and I don't think a lot of people took them up on that offer that much. I never really saw enough interest in any custom made maps. But a random made Portal game where it has just a few more mechanics and a bit more story, a continuation of the story of Portal 2, and then every puzzle was random. So every person playing it, every time they played it, it was random. That I could play a game like that over and over again. That would get into some of the other series, be like some of my other series, where I do play games that are very much like that, where each run is different. There's a lot of randomization. Uh, Series that are like that that I have is FTL, Faster Than Light, which is a space-based uh, strategy game, and then The Binding of Isaac Rebirth, which is a mature-themed dual joystick shooter with a lot of items that randomly spawn that give you all kinds of abilities. And so I've done lots and lots of episodes of both of those series, and every single one is a little bit different. Let's see. If I had done 20 pieces on the talisman to be about a fourth of done with the game, at that point, that means I would have done all the pieces in the first area. I would have seen the minor spoiler that the first area is connected to a main hub, and the main hub is very different than the first area. And then there were 2 or 3 more areas depending on whether you want to count the final area as its own separate area. So, talk episode count though. Episode count, I probably would have been close to episode 8, 9, 10 at this point on the Talos Principle. Whereas we're only on episode, I think, 5 of Portal. Because these puzzles are smaller, there's a lot less of them. Don't worry, we still got a lot more of the game to go with. So we're done with this puzzle, we're done with this episode, let's wrap it up. As always, I ask that you like, share, subscribe, comment if you want to, and watch every second of my videos because all of that helps me out. If you want to connect with me socially, and please do, all that information is down in the description so that you can connect to me in Twitter, Steam, Battle.net for Hearthstone. If you friend me on Hearthstone, there is a small chance you will show up in one of my videos, and I'll probably let you know about that if it happens, but you probably won't realize it too because you would be playing against me. You would see my username of Rydo, R-Y-D-O. Yeah, so connect and watch and share this with everybody, and have a good evening.